school district has proposed an increase in its budget. What do you feel is the cause, and do you support the increase?
Actually, there's a 2% cap, so the increase is 2%. Most of the budget goes towards salaries and increases. Very little of that budget goes towards the children. So anything extra that we can have, we have to be. I think when we look at the budget, we need to understand what's going on. There are proposals in that budget to do away with a lot of jobs. And most of those jobs directly affect children. We really have to be more conscientious and work together better so that we can come up with better solutions. We already don't have, our classes are already overcrowded. There's absolutely no way we can allow, last year all of the reading teachers were let go. We're not in a situation in this community where we can allow that to happen. This year, we have quite a few teaching assistants, quite a few teachers that are on the list to be accessed. As a community, we have got to come together and show our dismay for these decisions. And we've got to come up with other solutions. And there are no easy solutions. But I just don't think cutting services that directly affect our children are going to enhance the reading and/or math scores in our community. Our children need extra time in the classrooms. So I think the budget really did not increase. We stayed within the 2% cap. Now, how we distribute those funds is a whole nother story.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. I want to say this, and if it sounds harsh, forgive me. All of America is suffering right now. Now, our children, unfortunately, are not reading. Did that reading program work? Did those teachers adhere to the reading program? Were they successful? Were they evaluated? How did their evaluation work? I don't know. So I can't say that I can be a judge to those reading teachers. My thing is that did they cut the program because the program did not work? I don't know that. The people that are on the board, they should know that. Do they have that information? Do they have that data? If it's because of the fact that those jobs, we have 327 new students. Did we advocate for the money that was promised to us from the government for those new students? Those students have to be, we have to educate them as well. We need new teachers. We have to have teachers for those students. Are those salaries for those teachers that we have to educate? Those students that are coming in, the new students, they are considered special needs students. Not regular students where we get $22,000 for those students. They have to have ELA, they have to English as a second language. They have special needs. So we have to consider that. I don't know if that was considered in the budget. When I went to the budget hearing, I was asking questions, and I did get some answers to those questions. But did I get all the answers? No. So we can't just blanket say, oh, well, it was for salaries. Whose salaries were they for? I know that I got an answer to one, but we can't just judge it that it's just for salaries, because we have new students that were coming in that needed help. Thank you. Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike,
Sorry.
when we look at the budget, the superintendent worked to keep it under the cap. However, when we look at the needs of the district as a whole, we cannot afford to cut our staff. We cannot afford to cut teachers. We cannot afford to cut teachers' assistants. When we look at the external services that we outsource, again, I can only go back to my history. When I was here, we were taught wood shop. We were taught mechanic shop. We were taught home economics. We had the blue and white corner. We were taught entrepreneurship. We were taught all of those things, but now all of those things have been outsourced to BOCES. And so now we've got to look at how do we bring those things back. When we printed our own invitations, we printed our own calendars, we printed our own stationery right here in the high school. We had print shop. And so all of those things have been taken away, and we've been outsourcing them to other entities who are becoming very wealthy off of this district. So now we've got to look at that and say, instead of cutting our staff, let's bring those things back to us. Let's bring that money back into our system, and then there's a possibility that we can save on that end versus cutting the teachers and the teachers' assistants.
All right, Susan Torres.
When it's regarding the budget, I think we should all get involved. It's not an easy task to look at the budget and be correct or be incorrect. But one thing that we did the homework and we find out, that's true, we are having an increase of students, but every single year we increase the budget. The budget is going to be increasing at 2.7 this year. The tax levy is going to be increased only 1.98 because the cap is 2%. But because the cap is 2%, we just have to increase it? No. We have to increase it because we need the money. But over the last 10 years, we were doing a little research. The budget keeps increasing, but the population of students, for a couple of years, it didn't increase, it decreased. We were reviewing it from 2003 to 2014, and we were having a couple of years that they were not having an extra students. That is one of the most important things. The second one is we budget according to the employees that we have right now. That means 135 employees are in the budget already, and we are allocating money for them. But on the other side, we are saying that we are going to cut 135 employees. How we are going to do it if we already allocate the money in the budget? Absolutely. Somebody has to explain us that. Now, how important we are giving to the students when we allocate from 12,000 last year on supplies. This year we are allocating 200,000. Why is this that is supplies or instructional? Is this allocation? What is the importance of allocating $188,000 instead of paying attention how many salaries that money could pay?
Thank you.
Well, what I'm hearing from the residents and my neighbors when I speak to them is their frustration is because of the lack of success, the lack of performance. They've been taxed, they're paying high taxes, the outcomes are not what they expect for the amount of money they spend. And in reality, I'm certain that if we could, not have our current situation where our students aren't receiving decent education. I have another statistic for you. On average, the surrounding villages, we spend $3,000 per student more than the average village. If the solution lied in one more $1 million plan, one more tax hike, we would have been there. We lead in the taxes that we pay. The reality of it is that this is going to take some knowledge and some real work. There is no magical solution. In order to turn this around, we're going to have to face the reality this didn't happen overnight. There are structural problems here. And the residents are not going to support another tax hike when we're at the bottom. We're not at the middle, we're at the bottom. Once we can generate some progress, I've done this in Brooklyn. All of a sudden, people who are rooting against you are the ones who are helping you. People don't mind paying for something that they're getting. They do mind paying for nothing. In reality, if we're spending on average $3,000 more per pupil, we should not be in the bottom 5% of the state. That is what the board is tasked with, turning the situation around. We can't focus on other issues until we've turned it around. Thank you.
not the first year we've had a budget here in Hempstead. I'm sure it is. With any budget, you have to pre-plan. If you don't think ahead, you're going to always think and be behind. There's so many different options that we can take other than laying off teachers, because our teachers are the first line of defense to our children.
That's right.
And if we supported our teachers and they wasn't always afraid of being accessed, as you call it, which means fired or laid off, you might get a teacher that might go over and beyond. Like when I was in school, I could go to my teacher's house and get help. She didn't put in the bill to the district, so that didn't have to be budgeted in. We have to start coming up with alternative things. Like I said, I'm Parks Commission. I'm at Campbell Park every day. I, out of my pocket, bought a computer. I made the village buy some computers. There's teachers, there's educators, not from Hempstead, that hang out there, that have no problem coming and helping our children. So when we talk about the budget and whose fault it is, sometimes we got to turn them fingers around and point them at ourselves. Everything can be worked out. Everything can be, everything don't have to be as hard as we make it. And if we start giving back to each other, I think we don't have to worry about this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Jackson.
Okay, when it comes to the budget, I sat on all the workshops that were given, and I was asked, well, the question was, do you have any questions, and I was like, how can you ask questions about something that you don't even know about? Where did these numbers come from? How did, and it's like, we as a community need to know where you're getting these numbers from. Because just asking for more money, or the fact, asking for more money, it's not gonna help us. We need to be accountable for the money that we do have. And we need to start thinking outside the box, because we have the money. If you have a budget of $190 million, close to $100 million, I don't understand why our kids are still failing. I think we're putting our resources in the wrong place. We're not putting it where it belongs. We're not putting it with the teachers, we're not putting it with the curriculum, and we're not putting it on holding people accountable for the jobs that we pay them to do.
Right.
So it's not about the budget, because we have the money. We just need to make sure that we use it wisely and not misuse it. Because if you looked at the controller's report, you see that there's like $2 million that has been misspent. We as a community need to wake up and stop it and demand that we put the money where it's supposed to be and not in other people's pockets.
Thank you.